Welcome everybody back to boostinmotion, guys, and today we're going to do a catch can install on our Q50 Q60 for the VR30 community. But guys, before I get into the video, please always hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification. But otherwise than that, guys, let's jump into it. Alright guys, so let's jump right into it. So this is the revised kit from ADW1, right? Now some of you guys have seen in a previous video that card up here where I did the installation and also the unboxing too. But in this one, they made a revised kit. So some of the things that this kit is going to include will be a breather filter for the passenger side valve cover, 2 check valves. Now check valves only blow in one direction. So if you were going to blow into this pipe, it can only go in one direction. You can't blow the other direction. And some fittings, a new brace, a new catch can itself you saw in the last video. This is going to go directly towards the turbo and the intake manifold, and this is going to come from the driver's side valve cover. And these are going to be the hoses that they supplied so that we can install these check valves, because these check valves have to be installed on these hoses. All right, guys. So what I need you to do next is take the longest hose that they supplied, because that's the one that's going to the passenger side. Now, on video, guys, I want you to understand that I'm only going to do the passenger side one now because the driver's side is already on the car. Remember, I am updating, I am updating my kit, so I don't need to use all the hoses. Now, what I want you to do next is you can take any knife, common household knife, or a snips or whatever they call this. I forgot what they call this. Or anything just to cut it. And you're going to do a slight cut into it, because you want to be able to install the, well, don't lose your hand now. Yeah, we don't lose our hand. Move this out the way. Yeah. And we want to do a cut. Well, that wasn't the best cut. And that's it. Now, you're going to look at the check valve. It's going to have arrows on it, so you can't get that wrong. And you want the arrow to point away from the catch can. So the catch can will be like this, and you're going to point away from it because that's how the hose is going to be. You're going to take these clamps, you're going to put them on, slide it on, then you slide it in at the right angle. Boom. Get another one, slide it in. And then you do the same thing here, right? And then you're gonna put the clamps closer to it and tighten it. I'm not gonna do that on video. Now I'm gonna do it to the next one by the car, because I'm not gonna do that one because it has to get done in the car. So I'm gonna go cut the hose in the car. So let's move that one to a side. Now for the catch can itself, you also have, one second guys, I am looking for it. Where did I drop it? Yeah. Now you're gonna have 3 different, I would say, nipples, nipples that will come off the catch can itself. The last one has only 2, so I really can't reuse the old one, and I have to reuse the new one. Now in this kit, I also see that they have O-rings. I don't remember the last one having O-rings, but this is pretty good. You put these little O-rings on the nipples and you screw them in. Now, with installation, they want you to use maybe some kind of Teflon tape or anything like that. I'm not going to use any of that Teflon tape or sealant. Reason being is under the engine bay, it gets hot, and knowing that they come with O-rings, I don't see why it should have any leaks at all. And they have nuts here. These nuts are going to be for, these nuts and screws will be for the bracket itself, so that you can be able to mount the bracket on to this. And these use Allen keys, and this one uses bolts and another Allen key. So let's put that to a side, and then you screw these in, and you can use any regular socket head or a crescent wrench, and you might not want to scratch it up, so that's why I'm saying use like a socket or a crescent wrench. Anything other than that, like pliers or something, might scratch it up, because some of you guys don't want to scratch up your car parts. And you screw it in. Don't hand tighten it. You'll get a crescent wrench and you'll tighten it all the way, but just on video, I just want you to see how it looks. Okay, once you tighten this up, and you'll be good to go. All right, so and these other connections, these other connections would be for when the hoses connect onto here. So I want to just show you quickly how it's going to look. You're going to, once again, put it on like this. And you're going to slide it in. And then you're going to tighten. And then you take the next hose, you do the same thing, and that's how it goes. So otherwise than that, let's fast forward to when I'm at the car. Alright everybody, so I'm at the car now. Now, you guys already have the last version on my car. So we're going to have to end up unbolting this and using the catch can that came with the kit. But, and this little difference thing is I'm going to do is, I'm going to keep this tube that goes to the intake manifold. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to, I'm going to end up cutting that hose so I can put the check valve in there. And the next hose that comes from the valve cover, this one, I'm just going to leave that one connected because there's no point of taking it off when it's the same length. So I'm going to reuse these two hoses, and then I'm going to add in the third additional hose, which is supposed to go over here to the turbo. So I'm going to have to end up taking off the AMS intake to get to the tubing that goes to this. So this may be a little annoying. I have a little contraption here that I'm working on, but yeah guys, so let's jump into it. Alright guys, so I haven't opened this in about 2,000 miles. Now, I haven't changed my oil yet, but I'm right around 3,000 miles. The first time I opened it was at 1,000, and I'm already seeing a little bit of oil on the nipples to it, so let's see how much oil I've collected. Alright, that's it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. Let's get some light in there a little bit. Yeah, some light in there. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to do is cut this hose. This is the hose that goes to the intake manifold, whatever. So follow that back up. We're going to cut that so we can install this, the silver pieces. This is pretty much the check valve. Remember, I already installed the one for the passenger side, so this one's going to go into the intake manifold. So let me just get to that. Alright guys, so the check valve is installed. Remember to make sure that you install it with the arrow going in that direction. The auto brightness is really killing it right now, but there's a little arrow right here that shows the direction it's supposed to go, and it's supposed to go inside. Alright, so like in my last video, we already installed this bracket or whatever the case might be. So I believe it's a 12mm. You're gonna need a socket down there and a ratchet, and then you're gonna need an Allen key to be able to install the catch can. So remember, because I already have a bracket, so now I'm just gonna install the 3-piece can, and then we're gonna move forward to the next part. And like I always say guys, try not to drop anything, and I dropped my Allen key down there and I cannot find it. So let's just move forward to the next part. Alright guys, now you can connect the hose. I've connected. Now remember, the PCV valve from the driver's side valve cover, that's going to be this hose, and it goes to this part. That's the intake for it. Remember that inside the valve system is actually separated on the inside. Now this is going to be the hose that goes to the intake manifold, and the next hose, which we already have the check valve installed, is going to be cycled and ran over here to that intake duct down here, which is going to be the annoying part. So let me see if I can get to it. I'm going to have to remove some of the intake and see if I can jump into it. Also, W1 wants us to also install a breather filter, which is supposed to be installed on this hose right here. So we're gonna have to just work around on this side. Now that you guys are gonna remove this, you guys can check my video here. I talked about how to install this. So it's very simple. Just had to remove two 10mm bolts. This was already pressed into that little groove there. Also, try to put something here. So I'm gonna go get some tissue and stuff this, because I don't want any tools or screws to fall inside of there. Also, I realized is that this just slipped right off. That means I didn't tighten this all the way to the point that it doesn't move. So this is good that I catch, because this could actually cause some vacuum leaks, because it barely was even on. Like, it's barely even on. So I could be able to now check my installation from almost 2 years ago. But anyway, unclip here, and let's continue to the next part. Now for the next part, if you take a look, we have to unclip this clamp, and this clamp is what goes up here, and that's what's going to connect the breather hose to. So let's get to that part. Alright guys, so now when you pull it out, you can reuse, they give you a clamp there, but you can reuse this clamp. So just move that down here, and that's it. This is going to be installed, and you can push this and more, install it more up here or to the side, or wherever the case might be. But I'll show you just a little later where I put this. But finally now, we're going to run the hose from there to here, to that clamp right there, onto that, and that's gonna pretty much the last part of the install. So let me just fast forward to that and let's go. All right guys, so I want to show you this. Now this is how I had to route it. It will be a little hard to put this clamp on next to the wastegate, electronic wastegate actuator, whatever the case may be. So you would have to pretty much do the two-hand method, hold this back here while using the other hand to screw this in tight. But just make sure that this is on tight, because if this isn't on tight, you could get vacuum leaks. Okay, so make sure this is on tight. And the only annoyance that I see here is how to route this vacuum hose now, because now I'm gonna have to break it down, but it's gonna have to be run along here, maybe along here or in between here. But at this current moment, technically my setup is done. Yes, my setup is done. And for me to briefly explain, let me just put everything back together and close out this video. Alright guys, so I'm going to end up cutting this a little shorter so I can make it a lot more neat and zip tie it over here and everything like that. So it's a little bit long, but it makes sense just to have it a little bit long so you guys can cut it on your own, just in case it's just too long. So now at this current moment, the breather valve is going to pretty much be set more over here. You can zip tie it to this bracket, but because I have other apparatuses in the way, I can't. And I'm going to cut this shorter and just have it run a lot better across this field, or whatever the case may be. So you guys can just briefly understand what's really going on here, why we had to go with two hoses. Pretty much, let me break it down like this. The old catch can was pretty much a low load catch can. So pretty much idling or regularly driving, you'll have vacuum through here. This is without your car really beating on the car. No, your car's not really hitting boost. So that allowed it to suck in any blow-by gases from this PCV valve on the driver's side, right? The PCV valve opens up because it's suction and it goes into the catch can and it goes into here. Now, under high boost load, you got to understand high pressure and low pressure. From what I remember, guys, now if you're getting 20 PSI in here, right, you're not getting 20 PSI in the crankcase. So that any boost that goes now back, that's introduced back into this line and back into the catch can, pretty much it's not sucking in anything because this PCV valve closes because there's boost introduced to the catch can. But here's the thing. Under high boost load, you have the passenger side turbo, which has a high amount of vacuum. That from that turbo, this is all high suction, high vacuum. This goes all the way back into the catch can, right? Now remember, now it's going to be a high amount of vacuum in here, right? So it's going to pull whatever is hooked up to this catch can, which would be here, right? Remember, this line already has boost in it. So you're getting 20 PSI probably in this line, and it goes to the check valve. Check valve closes. So there's no more suction on this end because it's a high amount of boost compared to the amount of vacuum from the turbo. Now, this line is pretty much dead under high boost load. But you also have, the vacuum that comes from this here. Remember now, this is a low pressure zone, so this is all a low pressure line that's coming from the valve cover itself. Let me see, low pressure line, and now it's sucking because there's high vacuum here, right? And then there's low pressure here. Now that's where it does the exchange. Okay, guys. So under high vacuum, this line is pretty much sucking from the turbo, and this is sucking from the low pressure zone. But under the low pressure regular driving, it's actually sucking from, it could actually suck from both. So pretty much this line pretty much goes dead to the intake manifold under high boost load because it has a high amount of pressure here. And under regular driving with car not into boost, it's sucking from both. So otherwise than that, that's the best way I can explain it and understand what's actually going on here from my thesis. And yeah, otherwise than that, guys, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, bell notification. Right now I'm gonna just finish up everything here. And otherwise than that, guys, I love you guys. You can contact me at boostinmotion on IG and Facebook, and boostinmotion on gmail.com. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good night. Shout out to ADW1 for sending me their unit and doing an unbox and install. But otherwise than that, guys, contact you. Talk to you another day. Appreciate it.